So Nigerians woke up and are worried about the free fall of Naira to the dollar in the parallel market. It's been widely reported to be trading for a 710 Naira against the US dollar. Everybody's complaining and worried about what's going to happen to their businesses. Joining us to discuss more on this is an economic and financial expert, Mr. Tunde Olatunji. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. So from the reports we read today, within the NAFEX, within the system, Naira has strengthened to 430 to the dollar. But on the parallel market, it's 710 to the dollar. And Nigerians are confused because some don't even understand why we're having two various rates. Yeah. So help us, for those who don't even understand what this is about, help us understand it at that level before we even understand where we are going on this matter.
Well, thank you. One of the major challenges with Nigerian foreign exchange is the fact that over the years it's been very difficult to have a convergence of our exchange rate. So you have the black market rate different from that of the official window. And, you know, because the official window has not been able to adequately take up the demand of the Nigerians in terms of foreign exchange, a whole lot of demand has now shifted to the black market. So despite the fact that the official window gives you a cheaper rate, it cannot take care of the needs of the people. So a whole lot of Nigerians resort to the black market to meet their demand. And this is a function of the fact that, number one, the inflow of dollars into the Nigerian economy has dropped drastically. And this is a reflection of the fact that Nigeria is not a producing nation in terms of what we need to put in the national market to earn foreign exchange. And at the same time, Naira is not also on high demand because we are not producing anything that is enough to make people want to demand for your goods and your currency. So when you look at the demand and the supply end of it, which is a major factor in determining foreign exchange, you have deficiency in supply, and then your demand is rising on daily basis as a country. So when you have this gap, it explains why you have that drop in your foreign exchange.
Right. Can you please answer, just a follow-up to that, is this just peculiar to Nigeria? These two different rates, two different markets, and obviously almost a very powerful informal sector?
Yeah, it's not peculiar to Nigeria, but it's prominent in Nigeria because of the fact that when you look at the size of the Nigerian economy, take for instance in Africa, being the largest economy. When you compare that with the potential of a country like Nigeria, you understand why whenever we have issues like this, it's going to have a much more bigger impact on the people. It's one of the peculiarities of the developing economies across the world. It's not peculiar to us as a nation, but then we have battled this for so long. It's been on for decades, and until we're able to address the structural deficiency in our economy, it may actually be practically difficult for us to come out of this situation we find ourselves. I remember, being on one of the major TV shows about 5 years ago, and I postulated that if we think the worst has come to our currency being devalued, then it simply means we lack the understanding of how the economy works. Dollar, exchange rate is not something that is going to be pronounced by fiat by a government, or it's not something you talk into existence. It has to be addressed the way it is. You have to do something to either bring down your demand for foreign exchange, or you have a boom in your supply. For as long as you continue to have this mismatch, it's going to put pressure on your local currency. And when it puts pressure on your local currency, it becomes a big issue. And let me even say this. Devaluation of currency itself is not an entirely a bad concept. We have had instances where countries would deliberately devalue their currency so as to make their production attractive to the people. If Nigeria were to be a producing nation, you could, as a matter of economic policy, devalue your currency such that it's cheaper for people to want to buy your goods, it's cheaper for people to want to produce in your country than for them to want to buy the goods of other countries. We have seen countries like China deploy this tool in the past. But when your currency loses value, and a large percentage of your consumption is not even produced locally, you need to rely on importation to meet your needs, it's going to become so unbearable for the people, and it's going to be so huge. But at the same time, when even as a nation, our major source of foreign earnings is dropping, yes, oil now is selling at good rates in the market, but again, you are battling with your production not being able to meet even what's expected to put in the global market. It becomes a serious issue. Now, Nigeria has also witnessed a drop in its portfolio investment into the country. And why is this so? When people want to bring their money, their currency into your country, they are also going to be concerned about the fact that when it is time for me to repatriate my gains, when it is time for me to repatriate my funds, how easy will it be for me to also be able to repatriate my funds? What we have now in Nigeria is a situation where, because of the drop in our foreign exchange earnings, even when people bring in hard currency into your country, when it is time for them to remit their funds, it becomes a big deal. And that's why you see Nigeria begin to, the CBN governor, said at some point in time that the backlog of unremitted funds into the economy was running some billions of US dollars. This is discouraging to those who want to bring money to invest, because as long as there is no ease of entry and exit into an economy, it becomes a very significant issue.
Let me get a few questions again.
Okay, sir. So my head was running riot as you were speaking, because I was trying to find the angle where you would, explain to us in layman's terms what exactly is happening and how we can begin to tackle it, not just the government side, but also individuals. So you talked about structural deficiencies that we need to address as soon as possible, and you mentioned a few, but are there other ones you think that the government is deliberately working on to ensure that we can, strengthen the Naira? And how do you think ordinary Nigerians can play a role in helping this happen?
Thank you very much. In addressing this issue, we cannot put it entirely on the doorstep of the government. For an economy to be functional and prosperous, the government must play its lead role, and the people must be willing to ensure that they give what it takes for their country to prosper and flourish. That is when you see an economy working. And I'll give you a simple example. As an average Nigerian, what is our appetite for foreign goods? What is our appetite for the things we are not producing? Any nation that delights in consuming what it does not produce is doing so at its own peril, is doing so at its own risk. If you look at even in historical context, we've seen empire fall when they thought that they have arrived and they have dictated their production and their livelihood in the hands of foreigners. And this area we need to call Nigeria. We need to bring in Nigerians. I'll start an instance. I had a business interaction with a Chinese person some 7 years ago who came into Nigeria to invest. And it was time for them to procure electronics into their company. She asked me, where can I get a Chinese-made product? And I said, I told her, I told the MD of the company, I said, well, the best products we could get here, they may be manufactured, but they are not going to be Chinese brands. She told me point blank. She said, I will only buy a product from another country if I cannot get that of the Chinese brand here. I'm talking of an experience here. She insisted, and I'll say this to you in very clear terms. I don't want to mention brands because I'm on here. As at that time, there was an entry of a Chinese AC and TV product into the market that was still very new, I know. She got there and she insisted that that was what she was going to buy. Even at that time, it wasn't a product that was accepted to Nigerians. She refused it. She said, for every of these purchases I make, money is going back to my country in China.
Exactly.
That is patriotism. Patriotism has a role to play in the economy. And I will say this in 3 key terms. Number one, you see, we have even shifted so much responsibility beyond the capacity of our central bankers to them. And I pity them at times. We take for instance, we keep deploying, monetary policy tools. We want to address what we have at the end of the day. Much of the rates that you have today is artificial.
Right.
Now, what are the things that can address this? I was reading a report that is about in 2016, 2017,
Right.
school fees demand in Nigeria, on the school fees demand in dollars in Nigeria was about $500 million. But at last year, it has moved to over $2 billion.
Yeah. Let me go on a quick break, sir. Because this is an important part. Because in all the conversation we have, it's important to also know where we as Nigerians play a role in this. Let's go on a break. When I come back, I'll let you finish. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the dollar to the Naira, 710 Naira. And Tokwe had a question before the break. I'll let you go ahead.
So I'm happy that you harped on our appetite for foreign goods and how our appetite for foreign goods is impacting on the economy. Still staying on the things that we can do as individuals. I want you to explain how
we lost the guest.
Oh
Yes,
my goodness, we are going to yes. So so let me yab government then. If I'm asking a question, I will ask about us. But if I want to talk about patriotism, I will start with our government.
Yes. They don't want you to.
Hello, let me just confirm. Hello, Mr. Latunji, are you there? Hello, sir. Yes. So we lost you for a moment. So Tokwe had a question for you.
I will say both of them. So on one side is that when you spoke about patriotism, I remembered reading a book about how India grew their brand called Tata, which is their car brand, and by enforcing everybody in the country, every government agency to buy their locally made car brand to grow that economy. We have a very huge appetite for imported goods, but I want you to help us understand the impact of the trend that started in 2020, where Nigerians save in dollars, where people collect their salary and change it to dollars and keep it. I read somewhere that banks have about millions of dollars in accounts sitting dormant. Please, can you help us expand on the impact of this on our economy? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very brilliant question. And I need to say, you remember that sometimes in 2016 or thereabout 2017, when the Nigerian currency fell so deeply, and within a number of days, it appreciated with about 30 or 40 naira. That defied all basic understanding of the economy, because there was no significant, happening within the economic or financial sector of the country that was responsible for that. And that tells you how unpatriotic we can be as a people, and that is undermining our economy. Now, you will see that what has also begun to happen now is that a number of Nigerians who are also into the business of speculative buying of currency for no reason, thinking that, this thing is falling, I think it's going to go further. People now begin to buy currency for round tripping. Now, these are the actions that we take that undermines our economy. When we all understand the import of our actions on the health of our economy as a people, we'll begin to do things differently. And that is why number one is that beyond the economic and financial tools that will be deployed by government, there is also need for us to have a reorientation about the understanding of our economy. There is also a need for us to bring back the concept of patriotism. There is also the need for us to ensure that we begin to lead and we understand the concept of accountability in leadership. There is also the need for us to know that as citizens, there is something we call responsible citizenry. Every Nigerian must be responsible for development in this country. Every leader must be accountable for whatever actions and inactions they take. When you bring these two together, you begin to see a departure in some of this. And it's very important, I need to use this medium to say this. We need to have intellectual discourse about the prosperity and economy of this country, bringing together right minds. A number of us can volunteer as this pro bono for us to have a study. And I know there are a number of Nigerians who wants to speak the truth and the way it should be. We must have conversation that will be devoid of primordial sentiments of politics, religion, and all of that things that has held us this far. We must have serious intellectual debate around the future of this country and our economy. And that's why I'm happy with what we are doing today. This is part of the enlightenment that we need to do as a people. And it's important for us to have a reorientation about the concept of our economy. I will give you an instance. At some point, the CBN, placed some 42 or there are 41 or 42 items on a list that is not valid for forex. That means you cannot access foreign exchange to buy these things from us. But what does this mean is you can go to the black market to get them.
Okay, let me get to
something in one of the fora. The question is this: it is not enough for us to put some item on a list that are not valid for forex. We must begin to ask questions like this: are these items
needed
important to the survival of an average Nigerian? If you don't import water into this country, what will happen to you as a person? Now you go to the Nigerian stores, you begin to see imported honey. When you have one of the best honeys in the world, if you don't import honey to this country, will you die as a people? We must take steps that will show that we are in terms with the seriousness that the economy deserves. Now, it is not enough for us to have items that are not valid for forex, as long as those items does not determine the survival. Take them to be classified as contraband. Don't bring them into this country. Some of the items we spend money bringing, it doesn't matter whether you access your dollars from the official window or the black market. The implication and the consequences is also still going to be binding on you. I was in China about 4 years ago, and then I saw some of their products that were herbal. And they told me quite clearly, if I'm going to consume this in China, I can buy any amount that I want. But if I'm going to take this out of China, I cannot take it out as a tourist, as somebody who has come for business. That is how countries protect their economy. And I'm telling you about a comment coming from the mouth of an illiterate Chinese that I went to his store. I'm not even talking about the officials at the airport doing some of this things. So Nigeria needs to make some very important and deliberate choices. And in getting this done, we need to ensure that we agree as a people that what exactly do we want. I don't have anything against people deciding to school, but the question is this, my sisters, and I will put this to you. Now, if someone will come and access currency in Nigeria to school abroad, to go and, study courses that he or she will never even come back to your country to practice, you have lost money as a country. I don't know if you're getting my
Please, I want to ask you a question, sir. This is very, very important. Because I realize that we have official windows, and then there's the unofficial window. And the government is closing their eyes to the fact that the unofficial window is soaking a lot of money, which is what is driving the black market price up. So things that are banned are still in the country, and they are everywhere. How do you believe the government can balance implementation in a way that maybe they reduce some items from the ban list, or maybe they should, it should be, the total ban should be enforced in a way that if you see it in Nigeria, like I see a frozen non-Nigerian brand, because frozen chicken is banned, yet frozen chicken enters this country every day. So should we now say all-out war against any banned imported product so that we can drive down the price of black market dollars?
In doing this, and I'm still going to refer back to my own idea of what should have been done as at the time we banned some of those items. Let us review those items. Are there any item on that list that even if you don't bring them into this country, it does not affect the existence of anybody? Such items should be taken out of the outright. They should be classified as contraband. And I'm going to say this. Let me give you an example. When there was lockdown, there were a number of items that even if you have all the money in this world, you can't even get them into this country. Did we die?
We didn't die.
Did we survive?
Yeah.
Survived.
Some of those things are nothing but the fact that we are just fueling luxury. Some of them are nothing but, unwanted appetite for things that are destroying our economy. The government must take that bold step, review the items on that 42 list, and struck out a number of them and classify them as contraband. Then it is also the duty of government to ensure that there is compliance by enforcement. It is also the duty of every citizen. There is a way you can make some of this. I will tell you, I'll give you an instance. If you force yourself to bring a product into this country, and then an average Nigerian is saying, instead of me buying this product, this honey that is imported from this country, I will look for local honey to buy, which is also even better. By the time those who are smuggling those items bring them to this country and there is no demand for it, will they still be in business? Will they not be forced out of business? That is the complementary role of the citizen. On the other side, we must also see the government must ensure that there is enforcement and compliance of those things. And one of the ways I think we can go about it is this. We have to go to the extent of saying, if you dare smuggle these items into this country, it doesn't matter whether they are on your shelves or not. Even if you are a supermarket, we can raid your supermarket. Let us give the enabling law that will make it possible. We can raid your market and get them out. These are both steps that we've seen nations take to ensure that they stabilize. Some of the countries we refer to today as countries that are doing well. You take Singapore, for instance. Singapore is just the size of Ibadan in terms of land size. If you even annex some other neighboring parts of Ibadan, some of their villages, Ibadan is bigger than Singapore. But today, what everybody makes reference to Singapore as a country. But one thing in the history of Singapore that we need to study, that was a country that even at the time of independence, they don't have a potable water to drink. That was one country that when they want to gain independence, they did not fight for independence. Their neighboring countries, Malaysia and others were willing to let them go because they saw them as a liability to confederation. But they took hard choices. They made bold steps. And today, Singapore has become a reference point in terms of one of the few countries that will leave third world economy to first world in the lifetime of the people in less than 40 years. These are the hard choices that we need to make as a people. Nations don't just come to existence, they are built.
You're very correct.
And we must build Nigeria.
Yeah. Let me let you stop at this point because I think it's time for us to even discuss with Nigerians. And I'd like to hear Nigerians' views on this because it's one thing to complain and lament about what is going on with the dollar and blame and point the finger at, oh, is the CBN governor, is this person, forgetting that we are also part of the problem. This our appetite for foreign goods. And I'd like to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll open our phone lines to hear from Nigerians and what we can do. Yes, there's a part of the government who should have actually stimulated local production of more goods and services, but there's also the part of us as a people taking responsibility. Stay with us, we'll be right back.